Beginning the season. Marking out and digging planting holes. Before you begin, prepare a 20-meter rope or string with markers every 60 centimeters. You will use this rope to measure where you will be digging the planting holes. Tie the rope to the pegs at either end of the row and dig the planting holes wherever there is a 60 centimeter marker. The holes, if fertilizer is being used, must be 8 centimeters deep and the width of a hoe. Make sure that the center of the hoe blade is exactly centered on the 60 centimeter mark. Then when you have finished the first row, remove your string with the markers forwards 75 centimeters to where the next row should be. Remember that the 75 centimeter rows run across the slope, which, along with the mulch, helps to prevent soil and water loss. Always dig the holes on the downhill side of the measuring wire, so that the soil pile is downhill of the hole. This prevents the soil from being washed back into the hole. We must try to have carefully measured row spaces with evenly measured planting holes in our fields. Straight planting rows are important because they make marking out easier and enable us to grow subsequent crops on the same rows. This method maximizes the crop stand or plant population. This improves the fertility of the soil and also reduces compaction because human feet, animal hooves, and tractor wheels move in between the rows. Fertilizer and compost. Lime is an important nutrient to add to our soil. Lime neutralizes the acidic effects of the fertilizer. It is often overlooked due to difficulties in availability. Lime should be applied to the planting station at least a month prior to planting if possible, at a rate of a 5 mm cup per planting station. Dry ash from cooking fires is also very effective, but needs to be used at double the rate. Fertilizer is placed in the hole using a measuring cup. Fertilizer provides food for the plant to grow. When we remove grain or produce from the field, we also remove the nutrients from the soil that the plants have used to produce the grain. You have to give to receive. You have to put back this faith gift of seed and fertilizer into the soil for God to multiply it back to you. The amount of fertilizer you put down should be sufficient to replace the nutrients that will be removed in the harvest. Normally we suggest a number 8 mm cup or a bottle top of fertilizer per planting station. The fertilizer should be spread carefully along the lowest point of the hole. Then a small amount of soil should be placed over the fertilizer to prevent it from burning the seed. A very good alternative to fertilizer is to put a jam tin of manure or compost into the planting station. If you use manure or compost, make the planting hole about 15 centimeters deep. It is important to note that whether you use fertilizer or an organic option, the depression left after covering should be the same in both cases. This hole is where the seed will be placed and is 5 centimeters deep for maize. Planting and watering. If we have done everything on time, we will have reached the point where all land preparations up to the point where we cover the fertilizer have been completed prior to the onset of the rainy season. The final task is to plant our seed. We should plant as soon after the first effective rain as possible. This chart shows you the minimum amounts of rain you need to be able to plant at a particular time. If a farmer has a water supply and wishes to plant early, it is possible to water plant. To water plant is to fill the hole with water first. A normal planting hole will probably take about 2 liters of water. Allow the water to soak away and then immediately put the 3 seeds on top of the wet, soft soil. Then cover with 5 centimeters of drier soil and then mulch. Extra water can be added at the rate of at least 1 liter per week directly over the planting station. Seed placement. put 3 seeds on top of the layer of soil directly over the fertilizer. This is the best place for the germinating seeds to be for the earliest and most efficient uptake of nutrients. Have the wisdom and faith to put down 3 seeds in each planting hole, knowing that 2 weeks after germination, the plants must be thinned out to 2 plants per station. Even with the best quality seed, there is not a 100% germination. Thus, we plant 150% of what we require. This allows for losses due to animals, birds, and insects. A good, full, even stand is essential to achieving a high yield. With all the difficulties of the weather, capping soils, pests, and all the opposition from the evil one, it is difficult to achieve a good even stand of maize even if you plant 2 seeds in each planting hole. It may seem like a waste of seed, but ask the Lord for the wisdom and generosity of spirit to put enough seed into an area you can manage at the highest standard possible. Seed covering. This is the single most important operation that you will do as a farmer. How well you cover the seed will determine whether you have a good crop or a poor crop. We have found over the years that 5 centimeters of soil covering the seed is best. It is very important to cover the seeds evenly with clod-free soil and no stones. The planting stations for maize can now be covered with a thin layer of mulch, which the seed will grow through, and which will keep the soil moist and prevent capping.